Welcome back to another episode of the TNA podcast. Adrian, you said something a minute ago, and it reminded me of like cheese and crackers, crap on a cracker. What did you say?
I think I said Christ on a cracker.
Oh, yeah. Christ on a cracker. Do we all have those like little sayings? Usually mine contains the word fuck, but you know, crap on a cracker works really well too. You're listening to the TNA podcast.
Totally not appropriate.
We're your hosts, Taylor Sappington, a cosmic cartographer, medical astrologer, and herbalist decoding the intersection of soul, body, and belief.
And Adrian Irizarry, a psychoalchemist trained in East Asian medicine, vibrational healing, and the sacred science of your nervous system.
Together, we blend ancient tools, clinical wisdom, and unapologetic truth-telling.
From main events to metaphysics, tarot to tonics, karma to cancel culture, nothing is off limits and everything is on the table.
This space is for the boldly curious,
the ones who crave uncomfortable conversations, crave deeper insight, and are done pretending that they don't feel what they feel.
So turn it up,
tune in,
and don't say we didn't warn you.
Welcome to TNA.
Adrian's getting are you guys getting blooming up there? She sounds as great as I did 2 weeks ago.
No, we're getting the Mother Nature is drunk stuff where she gives us like 39 degrees and like weird mixy precip stuff where it's like frozen from the heavens and then it's like melty by the time it gets to the ground. And then 2 days later gives us 65, 69, and 71 degree days respectively. And now we're back to, oh my God, I don't even know if we've hit 40 today. So I am dealing with the end of a sinus infection. So sorry I sound like a Muppet, guys.
And this is all on the heels of a time change, which is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the origination of where daylight savings time comes from. And I think you guys are going to be a little surprised at the history of it. But just an hour actually creates a lot of disruption in the harmony of your ecosystem. I know so many people are like, it's just an hour.
Anybody who has a small child knows that it's not just an hour.
Or animals that are used, like animals that are used to eating at a certain time. My dogs are still lounging in bed, like under the covers when it's time for breakfast. And they're looking at me like, bitch, I got another hour of lounging. Why are you trying to force food down my throat? Like my poor kid, he's at that age where he's really pushing bedtime. You know, he's like, can I go to bed later? Can I stay up past? And I'm like, we're pushing boundaries. Anytime I've given him the rope, he's metaphorically hung himself. You know? And I'm like, well, now I don't trust you because you said you would do something. And God, I sound like my parents. And now you have to earn my trust back. I don't even want to use that verbiage, but I think you know what I'm saying, where it's like, I gave you the opportunity to show me that you would follow through and keep your word, and you didn't keep your word.
Yes.
So, 10 o'clock rolls around and I'm like, because mom doesn't get up and like lounge with her tea.
No.
Mom gets up and like takes care of the whole house because hubby's out of the house for work.
Yep.
So by 10 o'clock at night, I'm like, I need to go to bed. I don't have the negotiation skills. So let's talk about the time change. Are you familiar with the history of the time change?
Some of it. I am far more versed in all the reasons why we shouldn't do it.
Great. That's going to be imperative today. So
all my friends in Arizona are like, if you cut the top off the blanket and you sew it onto the bottom of the blanket, it doesn't change the length of the blanket.
Look, guys, we are all on the same page. We agree. We 100% agree. What did I say the other day? What are you supposed to do? I would absolutely disregard the time change if I didn't have appointments to maintain, if I didn't have things to send out that people were expecting at a certain time. Like, I'm all for it. Can we just keep the change that we just established?
It's so hard on the body in so many ways. And like, I jokingly made the comment about little people, but like, they haven't been socialized into this different construct yet, right? They are working on their biorhythm. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a reason why my toddler is like tossing his head around and like crawling like a maniac through the living room when it's like bedtime because he's like, oh no, I got another hour, guys. Like when we fall back. And then, when you go spring forward, he's like, what do you mean I have to get up? Like this morning, he slept until almost 9. Now, granted, he's battling the same disease that I am, but he's still like, wait, what? What do you mean I have to get up early?
Yeah. Bullshit. So we all know that twice a year we change our clocks. I think we all loathe and bemoan it as it's coming. I feel like this year was very early too. I'm like, what do you mean we're already changing our clocks? So in the spring, we essentially lose an hour of sleep. In the fall, we quote unquote gain it back. And most people hate it, yet we still do it. So we're going to talk about where daylight savings time came from and why we're still using it and how it disrupts biology. Okay. So did you know that there is a myth that circulates that Benjamin Franklin actually wrote satire in 1784, and he joked that people in Paris should wake up earlier to save candle wax?
I did not know that, although I could see that.
Yes. His suggestion included things like firing cannons at sunrise to wake people up, right? This was not proposing, he was not proposing a change in clocks. He was just simply writing satire, right? Then historically, we had the first proposal come from George Vernon Hudson out of New Zealand. He was an entomologist. Do you want to know why he suggested this?
Yes, because why would an entomologist suggest this?
So Mr. Hudson seriously suggested, this was the first serious suggestion, right? Seriously suggested daylight savings time so he could have extra time after work to collect insects. But that really just frames the ridiculousness of this, does it not? Okay. So he proposed shifting the clocks forward so he had additional daylight after work to go collect insects. I mean,
so let's change everybody's lived experience for my convenience.
And sounds pretty familiar, right? Like, welcome to the world that we live in, where the majority of people in quote unquote powerful positions are completely and utterly self-serving. We are not going to get on that soapbox today, though. Like, we're not going to do it.
Or we're going to try not to. It still might turn into a drinking game. This is where we tend to go.
Because I just cannot believe what's happening in the world right now. We're not digressing. We're going to keep going. So daylight savings time was first implemented during World War I. Okay.
That I did know.
Yes. And the countries involved were Germany and Austria-Hungary. So the purpose of daylight savings time during World War I was to conserve energy and to reduce the use of artificial lighting. The United States adopted it in 1918. But people hated it. Let's talk about the difference in politics then and now. People hated it, so it was quickly repealed. Why does shit not move quickly today? I'm sure if you asked most people, what do you think about what's going on in the world? Most people would be like, I don't like that we're involved in this. I don't like that we're participating in this. I don't like that this has been implemented. And the people have spoken. Why are we not repealing all of this? I digress. Tell me not to do that. Okay. So
you're just saying what we're all thinking.
God bless. Okay. It came back. So daylight savings time was repealed 1918, and then it came back during World War II, and the US called it wartime. This is why it's so important for us to understand our language too, and how much of our language we are actually governed by admiral law. The United States uses admiral law. I cannot get into this topic right now too. This is a juicy one, but like you and I are containers that are owned by the United States Incorporation. There is a difference between a birth certificate and a live certificate of birth. As soon as you sign off on the birth certificate, God, this makes my heart hurt so much. As soon as you sign off on the birth certificate, your child then becomes a warden of the state. They own your child.
Yes.
This is why we have to pay taxes and work because we're paying into the system. But the Social Security number that you're given is actually supposed to be tied to a bank account that has been accruing money and interest since you were born in bonds.
Which I don't know about you, but I don't have one of those.
I've looked into this. Like I've gotten as far as using the Social Security number to access the account, but then you can't access the money. Right. Let's go back here. Daylight savings time came back World War II. It was called wartime, and the goal was once again energy conservation. Later, the United States created a national rule, Uniform Time Act of 1966, and this is what standardized the changes of the clocks.
Which is interesting, 1966, which was also a fire year. in the Chinese zodiac. Anyway, I digress. Continue.
Oh, are you talking about how history is repeating itself and we can see it in astrological patterns across multiple different modalities or branches of astrology?
But it's pseudoscience.
Sure.
Again, I digress.
I think the biggest thing too is like, none of this is a prediction. It's pattern recognition. And when you recognize the pattern, it can feel like prediction because it's repeating.
Yes.
But when you are able to trace the pattern back hundreds of years, you're like, this is just pattern recognition. We can see the pattern clearly. So why are we not changing the pattern? And to all you people that think astrology is pseudoscience, astrology is part or a branch of astronomy. It's math. Like when I calculate a lunar return, I'm not calculating, literally, there's a degree and a formulation you follow, okay? When I calculate a lunar return, it's not when is your moon, let's just say you were born under a full moon for simplicity's sake. When is the moon this month at full moon peak? That's not how your lunar return is calculated. It's calculated based on the degree of which your moon was at the time you were born, which means the phase of the moon every month is going to present differently in your lunar return, right? So you may have a crescent moon one month, a new moon another month, a full moon another month, based on the calculation rooted in astronomy. I digress. So nothing about this is pseudoscience. It's math, it's pattern recognition, which can feel like predictability. Okay. It's a sophisticated language that's layered.
Yes. Oh, very sophisticated. When people get beyond sun, moon, and rising and realize
it's a small part of your chart.
It's such a small part of your chart. Your midheaven is such a small part of your chart. Yeah. But like when you get past just those like simplistic understandings and you start seeing the multidimensional nature of your chart and the different ways that it can be viewed, right? Like you can take your birth chart and you can lay travel over it to the destination that you're going to. You can lay certain types of life decisions. Like we've been looking at relocation charts in my world, right? Like just looking at all the ways that you can essentially take life decisions. Like, do I even schedule a surgery? Like they used to actually schedule medical procedures around is this an aligned day for your particular birth chart? Like, is this a good idea or not? Is it going to yield a favorable outcome or not? Like there is no way under the sun you are going to have me do any sort of medical anything during a Mercury retrograde. But that is a very simplistic response, right? Yeah. I mean, yes, baseline, I don't want to do it during a Mercury retrograde, but I also want to take into consideration how the intricacies of my chart move vis-a-vis the day that I'm looking at to see, is this a good idea or not? Or am I going to reschedule? And yes, I'm that guy that will call and be like, I need to reschedule. And they're like, well, we're pushing you out 6 months. I'm like, I don't care. Fine. Now I have time to calculate that chart versus what is rambling going on. Like, because you can actually make really tangible, aligned decisions with this kind of technology. It really is. It's technology.
It is. It's interesting. And to your point, Mercury retrograde, so many people are like, I'm not going to make any major life decisions. That's understandable, right? During a Mercury retrograde. And I want to offer a different perspective. Mercury retrograde can be an incredible time to say, make a business decision if you're producing something that you're going to come back to, if you're launching something that is part of your legacy, right? So it can be something that you can establish something during a Mercury retrograde so long as you're coming back to it.
Yes.
It requires repetition, right? That's an instance where Mercury retrograde and laying the seeds in the soil of starting a new education program or starting a new line of work that's going to be your legacy. This can be an incredible time to do it. It can be an asset because so many people are freaking the fuck out about something that they know very little about.
Yes. So everyone talks about a Mercury retrograde like something to be dreaded. And sure, does it have inconveniences? Like I was just talking to my student earlier this morning, and is she having a hard time with the portal to access the class? Sure. Right. Like, are there technological kerfuffles and scheduling problems? Sure. That's an inconvenience. Right. But you're being invited to take a look back at how you communicate. Refining the way that you look at, communicate, articulate, like whatever it is, how your nervous system is showing up for you, like all of these kinds of things can be really beautiful gifts. I honestly think this is why I sound like a Muppet right now.
Yeah.
Because my body is going, okay, girl.
Retracing a pattern.
It's retracing a pattern, and it's looking at how I communicate myself, the importance that I place. Is this a legacy thing for me? Yeah. And the answer is fuck yeah. Like, I love podcasting. When I first started doing this, I had no idea how much joy it was going to bring me and how fulfilling for my soul it was going to be. It was a really scary task for me. I have always struggled with having my voice heard. And this is exactly why I'm saying this in the context of a Mercury retrograde, because we're sitting in one and I'm having a hard time communicating. My voice sounds like a Muppet, but I really think that it's very timely that this Mercury retrograde is forcing me to reflect on how important it is to have my voice heard, how much I rely on my voice to be able to do the work that I do, to teach, to do podcasting, that it's important for my voice to be heard. Like, just listen to all the different dimensions of how this communication theme is currently showing up for me. Is this disease situation frustrating? Yes. Nobody enjoys sinus infections. However, it clouds your thinking. And it clouds your voice. And both of these things, if you haven't been with us long enough to know that I'm an Aquarius sun, moon, and a Libra rising, let's talk about all that air and headspace, shall we? I'm literally working through the communication of how all of these aspects of what I value, literally from my throat up, function and communicate and articulate themselves and show up in the world.
It's just like, so many people are like, Jupiter is my abundance planet for business. And I'm like, okay, tell me that. Sure. But do you know where you're actually going to find the butter to your bread? Saturn. Because Saturn requires devotion. It requires discipline. It requires repetition. It requires sitting in uncomfortable classrooms. So if you're just looking at your Jupiter, which mine is in Pisces, okay, like that's a whole conversation. Right. And you're not looking at your Saturn and how Saturn's actually here to forge the iron, to forge the metal. You're missing out on a huge piece of the conversation. And how do we get into astrology? Because we're talking about timing and we're talking about time shifts. And time is a man-made construct. I just want to make sure that I put that out there too. Just like your bank account is digital numbers. 3% of your money is held in actual dollars. 3% of your bank account is all they have available for you in a bank, right?
Which is terrifying, by the way.
The remaining 97%, this is why, like, they need, you have a limit of withdrawal for your account. This is why when you go to do like an exchange of currency, you have to do it several days before you leave the country in order to ensure that they can actually have the physical money ready and available for you, right? So 3% of what we have available to us in our bank account is in physical form and 97% of it is not. So just to talk about like what's not real, like 97% of what you see in your bank account is digital in the cloud, lives somewhere. The same thing happens with time. I wonder how many people are getting that weirdness with time right now. I'm like, God, time is moving so fucking fast right now.
I was going to say time is a very strange construct to me. I feel like I blink and I go, how is it? The 11th already? Wow.
It's
right. But
it's very strange slow in the last 6 months too. So like there's this very interesting thing going on with time right now. And that has to do with the grids and the Schumann resonance, which we're not going to get into right now. I promise. But obviously we just had a time change. And I think it's really important to talk about what this time change does to our body, what it does to our circadian rhythm. Obviously the biological system that controls the circadian rhythm is the biological system that controls sleep. It controls hormone release. It controls metabolism. It controls alertness. It controls body temperature. It's mainly regulated by sunlight. Okay. So when the clock suddenly shifts, the brain receives confusing light signals.
It's not exactly the same, but it's a little bit like when you change time zones. When you fly and you have jet lag or experience jet lag and your body is like, what the heck time is it? It's the same idea, except we're forcing people's body into this kind of jet lag, and then there's this saying that like it's a day to adjust for every hour.
Yes.
So theoretically, like it should, but some people's systems don't regulate that fast.
Yep.
And then they feel very disoriented for several days afterwards. And honestly, those are the people that are the healthiest because they are very plugged into getting their sunlight in the morning, getting their dusk and light spectrum in their eyes at the end of the day. Like if I could convince, and maybe this will start to shift as I start to have teenagers like fly the coop, but I really wish I could instill that all I want is like red light spectrum and like candlelight kinds of light in the evening.
Yep.
Because I feel so much better when we do that. We have a Himalayan salt lamp in our bedroom, and that's all I use in the evening. And it feels so much better. And honestly, it helps the baby. He's not that much of a baby anymore. He's definitely a toddler at this point. It helps him to downregulate at the end of the day. And so like when the light is on, even if it's dimmed in the bedroom, he will just keep crawling, and he wants to play with books, and he wants to just keep moving and And when I turn that off and I turn the salt lamp on, you can physically see this like moment. I don't know how else to describe it. It's like a moment. You can see his little body go, oh, it's time for sleep now. And he starts to slow down, and he'll lay down next to me, and he'll have me read a book to him. And, one book turns into 3.
Of course.
Because both he and I love it, right? But he just lays down, and you can hear him sigh, and his body gets heavier. And so light is so freaking important for our eyeballs. And in our world, with all of these blue light emitting devices and LEDs with their little imperceptible flickers and all of this stuff, like
the LEDs are problematic.
We are screwing our bodies up in such a big way. And like I run around my house every single morning and I whip the curtains open, and everybody's like, oh, Mom, what are you doing? And I'm just like, because you need the light in order to feel like a human. Get out of your cave. Like my teenagers do not appreciate it, but I'm like, no, open your curtains, man. You need the light to get up.
Yeah.
And I open everything in my house in order to let the natural light in. I sit when it's blistering cold. I sit in front of the window with my eyes, which is an ideal.
Still better. But not getting it.
When it's nice, I sit on the porch and I sit outside because that's the ideal way to get it. But like, sometimes up here, it's just too cold to do that first thing in the morning. But it makes such a difference. And you can literally feel the brain fog roll out of your head when you allow that kind of thing to happen. And it's particularly for women, especially when you're in perimenopause. So for those of you who are like, I'm battling brain fog, yes. Is that part of your hormones shifting in this time of your life? Some of it, but not all of it.
Right.
Because a lot of it is the fact that we hit the ground running as soon as we get out of bed in the morning. We're yelling at people to get up. We hit our alarm, like snooze button multiple times, and then we're just on a tear. But if we start our day with intention and give ourselves anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes of light in our eyeballs before we ever touch a cup of coffee, guys.
Or your phone.
You're not getting that false cortisol surge. You're not starting your nervous system hijacked.
Yep.
So this light is critically important.
I always say getting morning light is like starting the engine to the car. Okay. Midday light is what keeps the engine rolling. And sunlight at dusk, as the sun is going down, is what removes the key from the engine. And we should not be getting midday light. We should not be running the engine in the middle of the day if we haven't started it. And so many people go out and their first exposure to light is in the middle of the afternoon when we have a full UV spectrum. Even skin color, right? Like the production of melanin in skin is heavily reliant upon our exposure in the morning. It's prepping our body. Your eyes are your outermost part of your brain. It's prepping your body to receive the full spectrum, the full UV spectrum midday, and then it's down regulating it at night. It's so very important. And I want to say one thing about blue light, because I think this is a biohacking marketing ploy. Okay. Morning sunlight is rich in blue light. It is rich in blue light spectrums. Okay. So I don't actually think blue light is as problematic as we've been sold. I think our habits are the problem, right? So it's the inconsistency in light signal coherence that's the problem. And now we have blue light blocking glasses, and we've got screen covers, and we've got all this bullshit that we've been told that we need to buy in order to optimize, when in reality, what you're talking about, Adrienne, which is going outside for a minimum of 10 minutes in the morning and then building it and baking it into the habit of your day, could eliminate the majority of problems we have at night. Putting your phone down, getting off the television, dimming the lights to start if you don't have incandescent bulbs, getting a salt lamp, lighting candles if you remember where you put them and to blow them out, do it safely, but like, I don't think blue light is the primary problem. I think our relationship to light in general is dysfunctional, and the amplified exposure to blue light is what's dysregulatory.
And I think that there just hasn't been enough education for the majority of people. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to find ways to feel better. Yeah. Right. And so they fall for these marketing ploys, not realizing that nature has always given us exactly what we need.
Okay. So here's the thing. Say you buy blue light blocking glasses, right? If I could get all of the money back on every pair that I have ever purchased. So you buy the blue light blocking glasses. Did that change the number of hours I was on my computer? No. So the habit didn't change.
Yeah.
I just added a tool.
So I have to say I'm guilty as I'm sitting here and we're having this conversation. And
girlfriend, they're all over my house.
But I use them when I have to. So this is the behavior piece. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't use them until the sun starts to go down.
Fair. That way you're not eliminating. You're better off opening a fucking window and putting your computer in front of it.
Yes, which I try to do as much as I can. Like the way that my office is set up, if anybody has worked with me or seen this, the light is coming in from the side. So like I don't have my desk oriented. So it's like direct, but it's like right beside me. Mm-hmm. And it was important to me to have my desk near a window. It always has been important for me to have my desk near a window. And sometimes I teach classes later in the evening simply so that I can get all of the time zones in the US and that people can join what I'm offering. And those will be the times that when the days get shorter around the solstice, I will definitely make sure that I am wearing my glasses, although it's not a perfect science. Sometimes I still forget, but generally I'll wear them then. I'll wear them if I'm teaching after the sun goes down so that I'm trying to mitigate the amount of disruption. But the lamp that I have behind my computer is not blue light. It's not an LED. It is a soft white kind of thing in my hallway. So my kids have always said to me, it's so weird that you have different colors of lights in different places. They don't match.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I hear what you're saying. And I'm glad that you noticed that. Cause like even that light behind me is soft.
It's a soft hue.
It's not craziness. So that I have a soft hue when I'm working with people on the table. But in my hallway upstairs, it is soft white. In my bedroom, I have two switches. One goes to soft white. The other goes to more of a blue light LED. And it's still LED, but it's blue light. And one would be more in the morning and one is more for down regulation.
When it's dark though, when it's dark though, it's dark when I wake up right now, unfortunately, but the beauty of this time change is I now have enough runway that I can get the majority of what needs to get done. And then I can go outside and catch the sunrise. So I'm like blessed. I'm finally getting the sunrise instead of trying to get it as I'm driving my kid to school. Like, come on, let's go, sunroof open, windows open. But it's interesting because when it's dark and you wake up and all the lights go on, I do that on purpose because we have to encourage the suppression of that melatonin and the increase in that cortisol in order to properly regulate. And I mean, this is what we're talking about in terms of creating biocircadian disruption. Now I'm utilizing a false light, if you will, or modified light in order to encourage the suppression of one and the release of another. And there are a multitude of side effects that come with, spring forward and daylight savings time. So studies show several effects after the springtime change. And I'm sure you're familiar with a lot of these. Increase in heart attacks is one that we see, right?
Yep.
So research shows that heart attacks increase the Monday after the time change, which I find incredible. I'm like, ooh, again, your heart is an electrical pump that relies on this biocircadian rhythm. We see more car accidents, losing an hour of sleep. Thank God I don't get in a car and drive around like I used to, right? Like my job was very mobile. It used to be for a long time. But, losing an hour of sleep leads to slower reaction time. It leads to more fatigue. It leads to increased crash risk, especially here in Florida. Oh my God. We can see sleep disruption. So people often take days to adjust.
Yeah.
So insomnia becomes really prominent with this loss of an hour. We can see mental health disruptions. Sleep impacts or sleep disruptions can obviously oftentimes worsen mood disorders. So we can seasonal affective disorder can be amplified with this particular change. So, I mean, is there anything else that you would add or that you see?
I was going to mention the mood piece because even just in the first few days after this time change, I've had more people send me notes about, am I having early PMS, or all of a sudden, like I have no patience for people around me. I've had an increase in people reach out about PMDD,
I love how we've pathologized everything.
Yes.
Which is why we have these conversations, and it's so important we keep having them. This is not pathology. This is biocircadian rhythm.
Well, and we've been indoctrinated into this. The doctor is the mechanic and your body is something to fix. And if it's having symptoms, it means it's broken and needs to be fixed. And it's like, well, no, not necessarily. Like, we are great big houseplants. Like, I'm pretty sure that I've said this before, but we're just fucking houseplants, guys. We need light. We need proper nourishment. We need proper, I'm going to use temperature.
Ventilation.
And some of us are hothouse flowers, and some of us can handle a little more robust temperatures. But like, honestly, we're just big houseplants.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that I love about being a Chinese medicine practitioner is that the role of the practitioner is that of a gardener. Mm-hmm. And you're just trying to help the body with the right conditions so it can thrive. Mm-hmm. None of that is fixing anything. It's altering the environment.
You don't need to be fixed. This entire notion that I need to be fixed and that something is broken is part of the marketing ploy of the Western paradigm.
Yes. And lay that over. I have been having an increase in PMS symptoms. What's wrong with me feeds into that narrative of my body is betraying me. You need to fix it. Instead of seeing it as a conversation and going, okay, obviously something's out of alignment. And everybody points it back. And sometimes there's also that point back, like, is this because it's Mercury retrograde? Like, was it because you just had this moon or whatever? And sure, sometimes that's the case, but in a lot of cases, there is a complete ecosystem aspect that you have to look at. Mm-hmm. And when we're looking at changes in the time, there is a combination of frequencies that can be used in the acutonic system to help people with coming back home to what timeline you're in. And I say it that way because, yes, you can use it for jet lag, but you can also use it for daylight savings time. Right. Like, it's to help your body recalibrate to the rhythm of your day-night cycle, which is out of whack, whether you're changing time zones because you're traveling, but more specifically, we force people into this change twice a year.
Yep.
And our bodies are like, bro, what the hell are you doing to me?
I commiserate. I stand in solidarity with her. I'm like, yeah, I know, like I'm totally not on this too. And life expects me to show up. So we got to find a compromise here. Back to the symptoms though. I just wonder what the world would look like if we changed the psychology around symptoms and more people started celebrating the fact that their body was displaying symptoms than loathing the symptoms that their body is attempting to utilize to communicate. And instead of silencing the symptoms, we utilize them as a means of initiating a conversation that allowed us to get to know our body in a deeper capacity. So the resolve that so many of you are dying for, literally, I mean, we're all dying every day, but like, let's accelerate it by shoving shit down our throats, silencing the symptom that's trying to save us from whatever the outcome is, right? Yeah. Utilizing supplements to manipulate. But what would it look like if more people, I'm talking to you in the mic, what would it look like if you started pivoting the way that you saw your symptom and went like, oh, babe, what are you trying to say?
Yeah.
What does this mean? How can we work through this together? And if you started asking, let's just take it a step further. Okay, I've done all the dietary changes. I've done all of the supplemental inputs. I'm not anti-supplement. I'm anti how they're used. It's atrocious.
Yes.
Okay. There's a time and a place, and the time and the place has to be strategic. And a lot of the times the strategy is like much more brief than most of us have been taught. Most of you are using it as a crutch, and it's creating just as many problems as the pill that you're attempting to avoid from the pharmaceutical realm. But where was I going with that? Fly, but like, what would it look like if we just started asking the question, like, if I've done all of the things that are feasibly within my control?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not a me problem and I need to look deeper.
Yes. And because of all of the flashy things that are out there, I just had a client the other day. I adore her, but she just sent me the longest list of a protocol thing that she's doing because I have to check it again. Because remember back to a previous episode, herbalists have to check everything, but the door doesn't swing both ways. Yeah. So I have to check everything that was sent to me to make sure that there aren't any interactions that I should be considering. And it's sad because there's so many pills. And it's like, do you really need this? What are we doing right now?
If your body is already overwhelmed, more input typically doesn't amplify the outcome. It distorts the signal in the body and it produces an output. Input equals output. And if the signal's already distorted, more input is going to further distort the signal. And it's then going to translate to an output that you're not satisfied with, potentially a temporary shift.
Yeah.
I wish we could unlearn this. Like, more is not better.
No, more is definitely not better. I had this conversation with my husband the other day. We were out for a walk and it was the first time he had ever said anything to me because I'm working on the postpartum weight aspect of my journey, and trying to lose weight after 40 is a whole project. Anybody resonate with that? So he and I were talking about this whole GLP-1 push and like all of the...
See, there's data now talking about how GLP-1 soften bone.
Yes. And I could have told you that.
No free lunch, guys. I don't care if you're microdosing either.
Yep.
Sorry. I was just like...
Well, and there's ways that you can increase your natural production of GLP-1. And so that you're achieving the same outcome, but without the bone softening effects. So... anyway, we were talking about that and we were talking about supplements, and he said something to me the other day about remarking on the number of things that come into the household around supplements. And I said to him, because as a celiac person, I do have to supplement a little more than other people simply because I know that my body only absorbs a portion of what it is that I put in. So I have to give it a little extra beyond like what I would normally recommend to somebody, simply because then I know I'm getting enough. So fast forward to this conversation. And I said to him, well, my labs show with my liver function, my cholesterol, my vitamin D level, my iron, like all this stuff, like what I'm doing is working because I'm in an optimal range for all of those aspects. So sometimes they can be helpful. Right? Like if you know that you are eating with intention and your diet is solid and you are being really mindful of protein intake, having a nice balance of your fruits and veggies, you're getting good quality animal products, meaning grass-fed, grass-finished, and ideally locally sourced, all of that kind of stuff. Sometimes there are certain kinds of circumstances that you need a little extra of something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But that is not the case for the majority of people.
Mm-hmm.
Because not everybody has a diagnosed absorbency issue like this kid does.
Yep.
So I actually loathe the amount of nutraceuticals that I have to take, but I will take building blocks or precursors for things. So like I will make sure to get a good B complex to make sure that my thyroid has what it needs so I don't end up having issues with my thyroid.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I take the building block, the precursor, to make sure my body just has enough of the things so that I am not forcing myself with a synthetic to do something, because a lot of times people are using nutraceuticals like they would use a prescription, or they would try to use an herb for a symptom. Okay. But the symptom might be happening as a bigger conversation in your system, rather than I have this symptom, this herb will fix it. I have this symptom, this vitamin will fix it. Like it's not that case. Like what it is, when symptoms show up, nutraceuticals can be helpful in augmenting a diet where either you're not getting enough of something. And I say that like when I'm thinking about vegan and vegetarian clients, because you're not getting enough of the amino acid chains that you need to build yin properly. And this is why those periods are the worst. So like, you know, fragile nails, thinning hair, all those kinds of things, like they all show that your body is looking for certain tools that it doesn't have enough of. Right. So you can use it to augment something like that, but it's not a replacement for, where you have the nutraceutical and it's to replace the fact that you're eating like trash or you're eating ultra processed foods or that type of thing. Okay. When you look at it with intention, I'm going to use Miracle Grow just because it's
everybody can recognize.
Everybody, but it's kind of like,
which by the way, I don't use that shit in my garden.
Well, I don't either, but I'm just using it as an example, right? It fills in gaps that maybe the soil, because of whatever reason, doesn't have enough of its own.
Raised garden bed is a great example of this. Like here in Florida, we have to garden in raised garden beds because our soil is predominantly sand. So the majority of the beautiful things that I have growing in my garden right now are only because I have a raised garden bed. That shit, if I ever move, is going with me. I will take my soil with me. That is gold back there, right? But it has taken such love and cultivation through multiple seasons and utilizing things like a slow release fertilizer and fish emulsion to get to the point where I actually have bugs and worms. I have an entire microbiome that has been nourished through what Adrienne is talking about.
Again, you're a big plant. Okay. When I tell people that, they laugh. And I'm like, but no, you need all the same things.
I find it hilarious that we find it completely and utterly normal to find worms in our soil, but we don't think that parasites in any capacity are appropriate within our ecosystem. Like we've given no benefit to the mic of parasites, right? Like that's what worms are, a really good sign in my soil. I'm like, oh, it's rich, it's nutrient. Like I have worms here that are adding to it, that are getting rid of certain fungi, right? But the fungi also keeps them in check. Like it's this give and take. But in a human ecosystem, we're trying to evict every element that we would naturally find in soil.
Well, and like when you have a hard time sleeping at the new moon, it can show activity in.
It can.
You know, so like, again, a symptom is a conversation that your body is having, and nutraceuticals are not going to just fix it, because this isn't a fix. It's a conversation. Your body is communicating. And this is the thing that I talk about literally when I'm working one-on-one with people and when I'm teaching classes and all these things. Like your body is lovingly trying to communicate with you in the only language it knows how.
Symptoms.
And symptoms presentation is the only way it knows how.
Yeah, so you silencing it is essentially you doing the same thing that, let's just say, a parent did to you when you were a young kid. Sit there, be quiet. You're to be seen, not heard. Yeah. Don't be dramatic. There's no crying in baseball. Do we all know that reference? Yeah, that was a good movie.
I was so miserable over the weekend. I honestly sound way worse than I actually feel today, but I felt like death warmed over the weekend. And my husband says to me, he goes, "So will you just take the Dayquil so you can breathe?" And I looked at him and I was like, red 40, yellow number 5, and God only knows.
You did the same thing I did.
I was like, no. And he goes, "So you're just going to die over there with your teeth aching and snot literally coming out your eyeballs because you need something to help move."
You did what I did.
I was like, no, right? Well, I ran out of the herb that I needed.
Oh, shit.
And I ripped through my house. I literally went through everything I have 3 silver packets somewhere of this stupid, and I know I still have it. I could not find it to save my soul. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, I see the acupuncturist tomorrow. I really need to breathe tonight. And so I did. I succumbed and I took it once.
Did you feel better?
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. And it was just enough to make it so that the crap would actually come out my nose.
Yep.
Because my symptoms had just progressed so much and I didn't have the tools that I needed to knock the bug out of my body. But I wasn't looking to silence her. Mm-hmm. I was actually looking to support her because I knew the way that illness progresses, at least from a TCM perspective, is kind of like a bug burrowing down into the ground. Okay. I get this visual that the bug starts on the surface of our skin, and as it digs deeper, our symptoms get worse. So it's like clear discharges, and you're not having a fever when it's at the surface, but as it digs deeper, that's when you start getting yellow and green discharges, whether
because it's excavating the viral load out.
Yeah. Again, it's like a bug burrowing. You have to displace.
Yeah.
You go deeper, right? Yep. So I knew and this is why I ended up accepting the 1 dose of Dayquil. My husband felt like he won a victory, and I was like,
he did.
Nope, I refuse to accept this reality. But it's because I was seeing the color change.
Yep.
And that was ultimately what made the decision. I was like, if I don't get ahead of it, it's going to get so deep, I'm going to have to work twice as hard to get it back out. And so I accepted it, which I hated every second of it.
But it did make you feel better. I mean, and that's the thing, right?
It made it so I could sleep.
I mean, we come back to this conversation we had on a previous podcast, with the pounding of the head versus sleeping. I know sleeping is going to do far more than the detriment of taking the Motrin. So I'm just going to take the Motrin so I can sleep, because part of the recovering from the Motrin is going to come in the sleep, but a lot of the things that we see, even with, I'm going to call it a heavier viral load or a heavy bacterial load, that can come as a byproduct of the disruption that we see with daylight savings time and fall back. We have to remember the reason it was originally implemented was for fuel.
Oh, you mean just like pharmaceuticals were part of the petrochemical industry?
Yeah, great tie right there, right?
Interesting. This all comes back to economics and commerce.
Your body is the bank account to which modern society and capitalism, again, money is not bad. Money is a tool, free market capitalism is wonderful. We don't live in that anymore. We live in a monopoly.
Yes.
Free market doesn't exist. Ask any small business owner.
Yes. Who claws for every set of eyes and praise that
we're supposed to be the backbone of America, right? But everybody's always looking for a discount or a way around our pricing, or, but you'll pay X number of dollars for a faux bush from Kim Kardashian. And you won't ask for a fucking discount there. We worship the wrong things in this world, but I digress. So daylight savings time was originally about energy conservation, right? But research shows that energy savings, at least today, are minimal to non-existent.
Yes.
Right? More air conditioning. Go ahead.
There was somewhere around here that, because I live further north, right? Yeah. So my daylight experience is different, and we have a lot more darkness. And there was somebody making the case that it was less safe for children to go to school because of light and diminished visibility for drivers. And it's like, but you allow people to drive at nighttime. So why would this? No, you are doing more of a harm to those kids' development and their attention spans and all of those things by changing this aspect of their ecosystem.
And when it comes to like energy use, let's just say through like air conditioning, electronic use, modern lighting, there's actually an increase. We see an increase based on the disproportionate light exposure with all of these ships. And the reason we still use it, guys, it's economic. Like Adrian just said, it's economic interest. So industries that benefit from longer evening daylight, retail, sports, outdoor recreation. I'll never be mad about outdoor recreation. If you're spending more time outside, like, okay, cool, I can get down with that one. But more evening sunlight equates to more consumer spending. And the reason that we've continued to maintain these time changes, if you will, is because we have a political gridlock around it. So the US has debated ending it many times. I'm sure you've heard about it at a state level. We certainly did in Florida. I thought we were going to do away with it like Arizona did. And yet here we are still instating it. We are the redheaded stepchild for so many things. I'm like, we can't get on board with this one. Like, this would be great. So the recent proposal, the fact that we have to do this all by law blows my mind. But the recent proposal was the Sunshine Protection Act. And this bill would make daylight savings time permanent.
Yep. And
but it hasn't.
They kicked this can down the road so much. It
hasn't passed yet, right? And then science needs to weigh on in this because we have to rely on science. So what science has to say about this, I'm going to keep this PC, guys, is generally speaking, permanent standard time is going to be best for the biocircadian rhythm. So organizations like the American Academy of Sleep Medicine say that standard time obviously supports natural circadian rhythms. Morning sunlight is imperative too. Hormone balance, it's important to alertness, it's important to healthy sleep cycles. You would think that all of those things would be beneficial and it would be an easy decision to make.
You would think, but it's for the public good. So, question mark?
And like so many things. Okay. Daylight savings time was invented in an era of candles and wartime energy shortages. We are still using so many things that were invented. It's like politicians. I'm going back here. I'm sorry. Like most of the people in power have one foot in the grave.
Yes.
The decisions that they're making are not going to impact their life large at scale because they're closer to death than they are to having another few decades yet to go. Why are we allowing people who have one foot in the grave? Sorry if that's not politically correct. Please argue me, right? Why do we have where people that are closer to death than they are to living? I mean, we're not going to make personal attacks here. Okay. Making decisions for generations to come. Why does some dude that's in his late 70s, early 80s get to determine what goes on for my kid or make decisions that are going to impact my kid and his kids if he chooses to have them?
Spoken like a millennial, because that is absolutely the shitbag we have been dealt, because all the things that we were taught as kids was part of an outdated paradigm at the time we were taught them.
And we've had to learn and adapt. It's such an interesting place to be because is it Gen Z? I always get this wrong. It's Gen X before us and Gen Z behind us.
Gen Z right? is behind us.
Like we get either mad amounts of love from Gen Z or mad amounts of hate from Gen Z. It's like fascinating to watch.
Oh, see, I'm always in the mad amounts of hate category, but I live with two Gen Z.
Do you all understand what we had to literally navigate in order to create the opportunity for you to work at home in your PJs?
Yeah, they have no idea. Because like when I first went into the working world, I remember in my first professional job outside of college, I remember looking at all the things I had to do. And I was like, why do I have to come in every day? And I literally said to my boss, I was like, I get more work done at home. Can I like float back and forth? And he was like, it is important for you to be, and he was an older gentleman,
course.
And this was, oh my God, at least 20 years ago. I'm dating myself. I actually think it's further than that.
Yeah.
But it is actually further than that, 28 years ago. And I said to him, I was like, but I have fewer distractions at home. And he's like, but you're not here if I need you. I was like, but what do you do if so-and-so, you need this person? He goes, I pick up the phone. I was like, so how is that any different? I was like, I have a really hard time. And also, again, we've talked about how porous Adrian is a person, right? So like all of people's energy in the office used to distract the shit out of me. I had a girl on the other side of one of my cubicles in one of my past jobs, gray rain cloud all the time. And it did not matter. There was nothing ever positive or whatever in her world. And it broke my heart for her, frankly. She had a lot stacked against her, but there was a lot going on. But every time, like, I could feel her walk in the freaking room before she even got to her desk because she was so
you were
distracting.
picking up on her field. You know, that intangible piece of a person that you can absolutely identify, but you don't know how to put words to. But none of this is real, right?
But none of it's real. So like the fluidity, like if I was homesick, I was still expected to work. I was like, I have a laptop. Why does it make a difference whether my ass is in the seat or my ass is in a seat at my, you know what I mean? So like I was questioning those things and I wasn't the only one, right? That is our generation. We started questioning these things and challenging these structures that believed that you had to physically sit in a seat from 8 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock at night to prove that you were working.
Those hours were factory hours. Our hours in the workforce are based on factory hours, you know, but the reality. Yep. So is school. And is it interesting that most schools look like a prison?
It doesn't shock me.
Like if you really like step back and you look at school, you're like, oh, today we have to have fences and gates that lock. We have to have metal detectors. If you look at the schoolyards and the lunch, you're just like, this is prison. This is like prison. This is a pig with lipstick on it. That's what this is. Right. And I have a kid that's a bit rebellious when it comes to the academic world, if you will. He doesn't understand the purpose of it, which to a degree, I understand. I'm like, you're never going to use this again.
Yep.
I have to send you to school. I have to provide you with exposure to a certain curriculum. I absolutely agree that this is pointless.
Yes, this is part of why I homeschool.
And we've tried that, and it's just not conducive in our world. Like, mom's an idiot until he needs her help. But it's very interesting to me to just look at like how all of the things that we still implement today are rooted in outdated perspectives. And what did they come to find with COVID? When everybody had to go home and work from home, they found that productivity went through the roof because people weren't in their cars commuting. They weren't going to the grocery store after 6. They weren't trying to fit in self-care, laundry, etc. in the outskirt hours of the day. They were able to get their work done, which I really think most people are built for like a 4-hour work block, and that's it.
Yes.
The max productivity, and you can get a lot out of somebody. If somebody knows they only have to do 4 hours, let's go.
Yeah. Well, you've seen it in legislation in other countries. Like France has a limitation on the number of hours that are worked in a week and what hours that work can be done in. You cannot send an email after, I believe it's 10 o'clock at night, which I think is incredible.
Yeah, it's also still late. Like, I love everyone I hear from, and I don't want to hear from you after a certain time unless it's an SOS emergency.
Well, but they also, I believe, start a little later in the day too. And
it's
so like
lunch, it's the siesta in the middle of the day. Like everything shuts down in Spain and they go home and they have same thing in Mexico. Like, not that this would be conducive to me, but like dinner's at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Like they have a snack when they get home around 5, like, and dinner's at 10. It's late. So I don't think the US has it all figured out when it comes to how to make the most in the workforce or get the most out of the health and the abundance the body has to offer. And I don't necessarily know if that's its goal, but I think the way that we do things is weaved backwards, and we're starting to understand that in a deep capacity. Today, we understand human biology far better than we used to, yet twice a year, we still choose to disrupt millions of biological clocks.
And I think that this is just one of the many things that is going to get questioned and restructured as we see the dumpster fire of things falling apart right now. It's like there are so many conversations that are challenging the status quo right now that have needed to be challenged for generations. Mm-hmm. And now we don't have a choice. It's like when you sweep shit under the carpet, you can only sweep it under there for so long before now you have a big fucking pile of dirt. And the only way to get the lump out of the rug is to take it out and deal with it. Mm-hmm. Like, we've done that intergenerationally for so long now.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
That we don't have a choice. We have to address it now. And that restructuring is coming. People are starting to call for change. And unfortunately, it just gets worse before it gets better.
I hate to pound the alarm and be an alarmist because I don't think a lot of the alarm that we're seeing today is really all that helpful, right? Like, I think we already have a bunch of dysregulated people just being further dysregulated, and we're seeing a lot of collapse, you know, in the way people are engaging with their life. Someone said something to me several weeks ago, and it has stuck so deeply with me. This person said, Earth has been on evacuation notice since 2010, and we're just seeing that accelerated and amplified. And then this person went on to say, I am deeply concerned with what I'm seeing from an energetic grid perspective for where we're actually going. And as like a very feely, very in tune human being, she didn't have to say anything else. Like, I understood exactly what she was saying. And I'm seeing this amplification of women in particular. I don't know if it's just women, but women in particular who are of the age 35 to 37 dying.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is going on in this world? Animals are going, young women are going, children are going, you know, and I'm like, putting that in the context of what I just said, where are we going? And like, we're at a climactic critical point of collectively coming together and making a choice to be intentional adversaries to the darkness that has taken over before we get consumed by it. And every day that darkness just creeps in a little bit more, and a little bit more. Guys, it's winning.
So what do? We take care of what's inside of the four walls of our mind and the four walls of our house and try to affect the macrocosm with our microcosm. And if we all do it, you know, even if 2% of the population did that, the world would change.
I mean, you have to consider we're all collectively plugged into what's called an egregore, or a consciousness together, and we all influx and influence that consciousness, right? So the more screaming we see online, and the more divisiveness we see, and the more polarity that we see, and the more insulting that we see, and like just like the disgusting tone of our collective right now, like the more of that we see, the more of the darkness I'm talking about we feed.
Yep.
And the more we set our children up for a future that I certainly wouldn't want to walk and be a part of. So I have to believe that many of us were put here. We chose to come here, and we were put here specifically in this time frame to impact and elicit change in order to change the trajectory of where we're going. Guys, people who see way beyond, and I'm not talking about psychics, no offense to the good ones out there, right? That's a whole fun conversation to have. Tarot and psychic readings are all fun and games until you realize you're exchanging parts. That's a whole conversation we could have. Ain't nobody picking up the phone for me anymore. That shit's done. We done with that. But like the people that are capable of seeing and understanding in a much larger capacity, in a much deeper capacity, it's bleak. So I don't have much else to say other than get your shit together. I love you. We can do this.
We're all in this together.
We're all in it together, guys. Like, whatever your gifts are, like walking away from the workforce, we all need to do it. Stop it. Like, I'm not encouraging you to not pay your taxes. I'm encouraging you to consider what a world would look like if we all just decided that no longer. Like, why are we paying the federal government?
Yeah.
But why am I paying my state to exist as a business? What the fuck did you do for me? Do you get up every morning? Do you turn my computer on? Do you put my content together? Do you take care of my community? Fuck no. So why do you get a piece of my pie?
But that's it. What she's proposing is challenging the status quo.
Yeah. And we all have to do it together.
We all have to do it.
But like, we all have to do it. One or two of us, we're going to get in a fuck ton of trouble. You know what I mean? But 200,000 of us, 2 million of us, they don't stand a chance.
But it's a numbers game, right?
Let's get really creative, you know, like, let's fucking go.
Can you feel all of Taylor's fire today?
Let's go. Look, guys, I've had many times where I'm like, Mother Chef, come get me. YouTube ET phone home.
Yes. We've had so many of those voice note exchanges. I was like, girl, don't leave me.
That we're here. And I know I chose to be here. So like, if I'm going to be here, I want to contribute to the change. And the change is not continuing to participate in the bullshit construct that we were all born into. So let's go.
Yes. And like I said, all of this, if this feels really big and daunting, and like sometimes these kinds of conversations feel overwhelming, and it's like, damn, what is me, small ant person in this larger machine, like going to actually do to influence change? Because I've heard that a lot from my clients. It's like,
matter.
The world feels overwhelming and this and that. You do matter. Every single one of us matters. And that's the part that we all need to keep in mind, is if we all understand that we matter, look at the numbers now, right? But we have to believe that we are enough. We have to believe that we matter, that our voices matter.
Yeah.
Why do you think I'm croaking my way through this episode right now? Our fucking voices matter.
Why do you think I haven't gone back to the workforce?
Me too.
First of all, I don't think I would last more than 3 weeks. Somebody telling me what to do, somebody saying jump and expecting me to say how high. Yeah, you go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Been there, done that. I mean that so deeply from the bottom of my heart. And I'm literally directing that at every man that I've worked for in previous contexts, less one or two. Like, this is the version of me I wish existed then. Like, don't ask me that question. That's none of your business. Don't talk to me that way. And if you continue to expect this from me, I'm going to find your manager, go over top of you, and you can go fuck yourself. Do you see? This is why this podcast right here and this clip that's going to be forever ingrained on the internet is why I will never be employable by someone else ever again. Right.
Yep.
But also, I have entirely too many gifts to go back to the workforce. And I imagine that to be true for 98% of people listening to this. We've just been taught money's important. Paying your bills is important. I will not disregard or argue any one of those, right? Like, I get it. We all have a certain standard benchmark that we have to maintain. And a lot of people are struggling to maintain it even employed. So like that, okay, let's further talk about this question, maybe another podcast episode. But I also have not returned to the workforce. One, because again, see aforementioned comment, but two, because that's not where my genius lives. Yes. And owning a business is not easy. It's soul work. It's personal growth. It's navigating the bro marketing bullshit that I will never participate in, right? It's understanding that I have to be the steadfast voice when everybody is screaming, because the last thing that the people I actually want to connect with need another person screaming at them. It's understanding that the depth of my work is never going to fit into the container that is Instagram. Yes. I'm not going to go viral. Okay. I'm not built for clickbait. I don't do 30-second hooks. I'm not going to do it. That's out of alignment for me.
Yes.
But it's also believing that all of that is eventually going to walk me right into the humans I'm here to support and the part of the collective that I'm responsible for building.
I'm so glad that you said that, because I have had a huge shift in how I've looked at things. Like, I came from a marketing and PR background, for God's sake, and I helped put other people's messages out, but I had a hard time with the integrity of my own voice and having my own voice heard. I much enjoyed being the wizard behind the curtain than being front and center. So that was one of those growth edges for me as a small business owner, was to recognize that, holy shit, like, I have to be in the forefront now, and I have to get comfortable with that. I have to get comfortable with having my voice heard. And then I took it a step further when I decided to start podcasting, because I had shit I had to say. I had shit that people needed, and I needed a way to share those gifts with them. And at this point in my career, I don't care how broke I get. My husband might, argue with that, but I don't care how broke I get. Like, I would much rather be in integrity than sell my soul to be out of alignment.
Yep.
And I think about some of the crap that was said to me and some of the things that I was expected to do and how I sold my soul for dollars earlier on in my life. And I get so fucking mad at myself that I allowed that bullshit to happen. But it goes back to what I was saying about the fact that I was raised in a container that was outdated, which was that you go, right? I was raised with those family values that if you work hard, you get promoted, which is bullshit.
Yep.
If you work hard, you're the workhorse, and the lazier person
and they'll
on
add
the
more
staff,
onto your plate without
they will add more onto your plate. They will not increase your pay. They will tell you that you're not working hard enough, but they'll promote the lazier person on the staff to be your boss because you're the producer and the worker bee.
Or the misogynistic pig whose wife stays at home and he doesn't understand a day worth of work, you know, rearing children, paying bills, and answering to his ass.
Well, there's that too. I have lived in that structure as well. So I look back at that and I remember sitting at my kitchen table in the first 6 months that I left my corporate W-2. I'm going to call it the security of that job, which frankly is bullshit because I used to spend from January through May every single year praying I was not part of the layoffs that happened every single year. So I would kill myself to make sure that I was nose to the grindstone. I could justify there was no way they could let me go. Well, yeah, I did that at the sacrifice of, oh, Adrienne has a huge capacity. Let's just dump more shit on her plate because we let go of somebody else. So what I thought was providing me with security was just slowly killing me. And I remember sitting at my kitchen table in that first 6 months after I left my quote unquote secure W-2 job. And I thought to myself, my best energy is spent on me. My money is on me. Why? Because it's my hustle. It's what I have learned how to do. And I remember sitting there staring at my hand-me-down laptop because I was literally working at the kitchen table during that period of time. And I was thinking to myself, I have learned more and grown more as a professional in the last 6 months. The things I know how to do, the skills that I have gained, all of these things, I can do more in 6 months than I have the last 10 fucking years of my career because I've been expected to be a cog in somebody else's wheel instead of building my own fucking wheel. And it was the best thing that I ever did. It was the most empowering thing I ever did. And damn, that first leap is scary. The first 6 months of starting a business, you have to start pushing your own boulder down a hill. And that is hard. And that takes a lot of energy and it takes a lot of momentum. But it was the most rewarding thing that I ever did to be able to work in alignment and in integrity with who I am.
I mean, there's really nothing else I can add. Guys, I don't know if you can hear her. Mo is like my timer for podcasts. Like, she's like, Mom, I need lunch and I need to go out back and take a potty break. So we kind of bounced all over in this episode, as we usually do.
As we usually do, but it always dovetails together, though.
Yeah.
It's where the structures that we currently live in fall down and fall apart and how it affects our health and how that's part of the bigger meta narrative. Yep. Like it always hangs together with those themes because that's what it comes back to, everybody. Yeah. Is that we are in an incredible time of change. And instead of looking at it like, oh God, gloom and doom, there's more negative shit happening. Yep. Instead, look at it as an invitation to create the reality that we want, that we need, that we want to leave as a legacy for our kids. Yeah. And I decided after my daughter came home, having written her little poem at school, and it was clackety clack. Mom works on her laptop, clackety clack. And I was working for somebody else. I was like, that is not what I want my daughter to remember me as. Mm-hmm. I reject your reality, damn it. Yeah. And I started working for myself, and our collective health is going to reflect if we find a voice and start standing up for these things. This is daylight savings time. This is how we work. This is living in a cyclical way. This is understanding that we are intricately plugged into nature. We are nature. Mm-hmm. And we need to get back to her. Mm-hmm. And learning how to live and work in alignment with the light that comes through our window and the seasons outside of our window is the beginning. Mm-hmm.
There's no other way to put that. So, mic drop. Yeah, we're going to have to think of a really good follow-up to this episode too. So,
I know.
Maybe we can talk about GLP-1s.
Oh, man.
And all of the data that's now coming out showing us we knew anytime they push something, guys, but I'm going to cap myself. So, Adrienne, thank you for sharing your heart and your voice and speaking for all of us. And guys, obviously, if you've made it to an hour and 21 with us, love you. Thank you so much for sticking around. Like, share, subscribe, please. YouTube is our primary platform at this point. We are on Spotify and video too, but YouTube is really where we are putting our time, effort, attention, and energy to grow. And we would love for you all to stick around for each and every episode, whether it's our Accutonics, weekly based on what's going on astrologically, or the astrological forecast for the week, which I'm still playing with in terms of delivery. But we appreciate you being here. And until next time, guys, stay well.